Hello, hello, hello. This is Adelai Brown, your heart coach, and I want to welcome you back to the Heartline. I am so excited to be here with you today. I am, like I said, Adelai Brown, your heart coach, your life and business strategist, licensed real estate professional, and all around heart work practitioner. Today, I'm speaking to the high achievers. Yes, I'm talking to you, you go-getter, you person that is the go-to person in your family. You're the one that's moving and shaking and making everything happen. And I know you're probably smiling, but is there a sadness or is there a frown behind that smile? I know you've been smiling on empty. You have the title, you have the crown, you got the letters behind your name, but your soul is running on fumes. It's not a weakness to be tired, but it is weakness for you not to ask for help. But it is wisdom that we operate in when we make a decision to heal. And I want to talk to you today about the silent struggle that you've been carrying and how to finally put it down. Okay. Um, One thing I can say doing the Heartline, and one of my reasons for doing the Heartline is because we grow heart equity. What is heart equity? Personal, relational, and financial wealth that we obtain through authentic living. What I have found is when you are the high achiever, when you are wearing that heavy crown, nobody is going to stop you from carrying their burdens. Nobody is going to stop you from bearing their loads. You have to make a decision that you love yourself enough, you value yourself enough, as well as others, to have boundaries in place so that you don't find yourself on the short end of the stick all the time. So today, this is what we're going to do. This is what I would like to achieve for today. One, we're going to expose the truth behind your degrees, your promotions, your businesses, and your leadership roles while you're still silently crumbling, right? And then we're going to normalize carrying the world alone is not a strength. It's unsurvival, it's unsustainable, and you will not survive if you keep trying to carry the world by yourself. Now, I know when I was growing up, like I tell people all the time, when I was growing up, I was definitely that girl that people expected to do good with themselves. Even though I grew up in a single parent household, my mother had a very high standard of education. She really expected me to get my work done and not just get my work done, I had to get it done well. I remember many times growing up when I would bring home a 90 or a 91 on a test and be excited, and my mom say, that's okay, but next time you could get 100. It wasn't even so much about, you did a great job. It was, what did you get wrong so that why didn't you get 100? Right? And that doesn't sound like a big deal. And I know just with me saying that, some of you parents are already guilty because you do this to your children currently. Like you're actively what I call moving the finish line. And when I was little, I just kept trying. When I finished, I was the valedictorian of elementary school. When I finished elementary school, I had the highest grade level. I guess there was no GPA back then for elementary school that I knew of. Um, but I had finished elementary school with all A's, and I knew that, if you're smart, then you get your grades and you do your work. They say you're going to grow up and you're going to have a good life, and your life is going to be better than the people who are getting B's and C's. So this is why you need to get A's. But what they weren't telling you is how they were conditioning you to try to be perfect, and that does not exist. Now your story might not be mine, but I want you to look back in your childhood and look back in your youth. And I want you to think about what areas of your life were the the titles and the accolades that you have now. When did you decide that I need to have these things so that I can feel valued and feel loved and feel supported? Because what I've found in my own personal life, especially in working with so many of my clients, many people are living lives. You have families, you have careers, you are doing all the things, and you're doing it because your mama wanted you to, or your daddy wanted you to, or you're trying to prove somebody wrong, or you're trying to prove somebody right. So you want to make your this person proud, and you want to make that person proud. But what about you? This is something we call cultural conditioning, right? When you get in the culture, whatever that culture is in your family, but you get in there, and for some of us, there was a culture of high achieving. And there was a sense that if we achieve high, it was this false sense of security that, okay, once I achieve, is this going to protect me? And we believe that. We believe that if I get that degree, if I buy that house, if I get that car, if I live in that neighborhood, if these people are my friends, if I get that bag or wear these clothes or wear these shoes, then that is going to, one, make people love me, but also, this is another thing, it's going to cause people to respect me because I don't want anybody to think I'm weak, and I don't want anybody to think I'm broke, and I don't want anybody to think that I don't have it together. But you don't. None of us do. Like we all are trying to get through life, but nobody's life is perfect. And I believe that the devil has done a very good job of getting us to look to the left and look to the right to look for what is good enough, what is best, instead of seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, because all of these other things will be added unto us. But no, we're looking for people to validate us. We're looking for um uh, industries, and we're looking to be liked on social media. Social media is destroying so many of our lives because all people do is scroll and scroll and scroll. And the more you scroll, you're not taking care of what you need to take care of in your life. And then when your life is starting to deteriorate and you're struggling because you got all of the things that you thought you needed to be happy and you still miserable. And I know from experience, I'm not telling you this from some space of a theory or I'm trying to talk about somebody I know. No, I know what it's like. When I got pregnant at 17 years old and I was out living on my own, I felt like an absolute failure. And many people, some said it, but many of them, they didn't say it, but their actions showed it. And when I was young, I was really looking from that validation from the people that I thought were successful and the people that I thought had arrived. You know how they say you need to talk to somebody that's already where you're going if you're trying to get to that place. But what I had to learn and find out as I got older was that, oh my God, a lot of this stuff is a lie. A lot of these people are not telling the truth. Yeah, they got the things. But I don't know if I want to do what you did to get those things. I don't know if I want my family to be in the same state or condition your family is in. I don't, I'll be honest, there were certain people I wanted their lives. I thought their life was better than mine because they had a mom and daddy, or they had a nice house or a nice car. They had what I thought was love and support. They had that somebody to show up and protect them. I have always I have for many years manipulated myself and other people looking for safety. I'm not proud of that. But I can look back over the years and say that I latched on and connected with people because I was looking for somebody to protect me from the pain and the hurt and the shame that I had experienced in my life. But I had to realize that the only one that could do that for me is Christ. That's the only one. And so you might be where you are right now. You sitting in your nice office, you got your nice desk. You might be out and about doing your own thing. You got your own whatever. Maybe your thing is, I just want to be at home. I just want to be able to be home and take care of my kids. I don't want to work because you saw somebody you admired when you were younger and they didn't work, so you didn't want to work. And now you home and you miserable because God actually called you to something. But you're not doing it because you're trying to keep up with the image of this person you admired or this person that you like or this person that you compared yourself to. All the while you taking care of everybody else. All the while you're carrying the burden so somebody else won't be stressed out. But you stressing yourself out. And let me tell you what that causes. That causes your physical health to decline. See, we like to make sure we have the proper image because we want people to respect us. We want people to admire us. So we want to present a certain look. We want to present like we have it together. We want to present like we're okay with things. Like if you don't want to do something, don't do it. Like you're not doing anybody any favors by putting on. You actually hurting everybody around you. Like you tell the truth and shame the devil, but you feel guilty. Well, I feel guilty. Well, that's my family and I should just be there for them. And that's my mama. I don't want to disrespect her. That's my daddy. I don't want to disrespect him, but they're disrespecting you. And as a result, it's affecting your health. You wonder why you can't get your skin together. You wonder why your hair falling out. You wonder why you can't get your blood pressure under control or your blood sugar under control. Yes, you do need to eat better, but why are you eating like that? Because it's emotional a lot of times. If you weren't so focused on taking care of everybody else, you could sit down and plan and focus on how you should be eating and how you should be taking care of yourself. But you use the excuse, well, I got to take this person to the doctor and I got to take care of this person. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, and we got to chase down the healer for help. How do you heal the helper? You went and did all of this because you really thought that this is the thing I want this is the thing I want you to think about. I'm not telling you not to be there for people. But I am telling you that you have to pour from a full cup and not an empty cup. And like I said, these are things that I can tell you are very personal to me. I remember, like I said, when I had my daughter at 17, I was working low odds and end jobs or whatever. And I remember after I had her, I worked at Piggly Wiggly for a while. And that job, I worked in the deli. I learned how to cook a lot of things in there. And I also really started to establish myself as an adult because working in there, I was working with a lot of people who had children my age or even grandchildren my age in that and all of us were working in that environment. So I could see myself moving up the ladder, going from daily clerk to assistant manager to manager or baker or whatever the case may be. I was actually being trained to be the baker at one point. And I remember just feeling like I got to be good enough because there was a part of me that felt like I had already messed up enough. I already had this baby. This boy had another baby while I was pregnant. That was stressful when I was going through that. My mom and when I tell you, I talk so much about how God restored my relationship with my mother because I don't think words could even I still don't have the words to describe the transformation that took place in our relationship because I never thought I could be that close to my mother. But when I was serving my mother from an empty cup, I was not close with her. When I was people pleasing and doing things to help my mama because I didn't want people to think I was a bad daughter and I didn't want to look bad, let me tell you, me and my mama caught hell and I couldn't stand her. There were many days. I remember after my mama died, I felt so bad because I remembered the times that I talked about how I hated her and I wish one of us would just go because this is just miserable. And when she died, it just hurt so bad because you start to think about how desperate, like sometimes we get so desperate in our pain, we say things we shouldn't say, and we do things we shouldn't do. And when you're the person that's always helping, when you're the person that's always being there for everybody else, there is a sense of gratitude and thankfulness that I am blessed and able to do this. But then there is another thing, we talked about this last week, that can come up, is when you start looking at the burnout that you experience when you always putting out but you're not getting back in. And it's time for you to set boundaries. If you are in an environment where you have a lot of able-bodied adults around you, but you're the one that's primarily doing all of the work, there's a problem. If there are a bunch of able-bodied adults around you and you're the one paying all the bills by yourself, there's a problem. There's a problem. If you have children that are in your home that can ask you for things and expect for you to give it to them, then those same children should have responsibilities in that house to contribute to that house so that it's not such a burden and a pressure on you. And we talked about this. We had a table talk this past Saturday here in in Charleston, South Carolina, where I'm from. My aunt, the Yolanda, she founded Defined Empowerment, and Defined Empowerment hosts table talk sessions, very similar to Heart Talk, but it's live. It's always live. And we sit down, we eat, and we have real conversation. And the title of the story was Sis, It's Time to Heal. And one of the things that I got from Table Talk this past Saturday, I was actually one of the speakers, but it didn't even feel like that. It really felt like I really appreciated it being in the room and being able to grow and experience love and protection and care from others. And one of the things um that came up, that a lot of people in the room acknowledge that they feel, is the guilt and the shame that we feel and how we try to overcompensate for it. So as a mom, I told you I got pregnant at 17. So I try to overcompensate being a young mother by being perfect, by trying to get the letters behind my name, by trying to move up the corporate ladder. I gotta buy this house. I gotta buy a car. I gotta do these things because I need to prove that I am better than how I feel. I need to prove that I am worthy of being loved. I'm worthy of being cared for. I'm worthy of being protected. But the trick about that, and this is how the devil gets us, you don't have to prove that. It was already proven when you existed. The Bible tells us that God looked at what he made and called it good. If God called it good, good got to be good enough for you. We out here trying to be great, greatest, best, better. God looked at it and called it good. Why isn't it good enough for you? I'm challenging your belief systems. Yes, you grew up to believe this is how things are supposed to be, and this is how people are supposed to handle things. And that's why you so stressed out, feeling like you about to pass out or have a heart attack or stroke out someplace because you too busy trying to upkeep rules that the people that taught you couldn't keep. This is always hard for people. When we start our healing journey, it usually happens because we have made it to our wits' end and we cannot go any further and we are burnt out. But why we got to get that far before we start taking care of ourselves? I thought I had to carry the load of the family because I watched my mother and my grandmother and my aunts and cousins. I watched the women around me do this. So as I grew up, I thought, well, if I want to be loved, validated, accepted, these are the things that I need to do. And so I start doing these things and realize I am miserable, I am burnt out, my relationships are just falling apart. Now, somebody got to tell me something. So I was going to church at the time because church goes with that too. How I was raised, or if you're trying to be a good person or get your life right, or you better have church in that equation. You can't be a good person without somebody. What church are you from? Well, what church was your family a member of? Because church is a big part of that too. But I didn't get this breakthrough from church because church was just like everything else, all about the rituals, the religions, and the routines. But I cried out to God and said, I'm doing what you wanted me to do. Why is my life so miserable? Why can't I enjoy my kids? Why can't I enjoy my husband? I finally got the house. Now, and this don't feel good enough. What's the problem? He said, because you too busy carrying the weight. You just going with the flow. You too busy trying to check off boxes. You're trying to prove your worth when I've already validated you. And I know you might be listening to me right now and you like, what is she talking about? And you are the person I'm talking to, because you don't think the person that don't even think nothing is wrong with them right now is the one with the biggest problem. If you listening to me right now and you like, who, I don't have that problem because I this and I that, I'm more concerned about you. Because when we prioritize the health and well-being over our own, we're going to fall every time, and we're going to fall hard on our face. When you get on an airplane, it doesn't matter if you got a 2-month-old baby with you. Before that plane is going to take off, if you have ever traveled on a plane, they are going to tell you, and this is for everybody who, well, that's my family and I got to take care of them. And those are my kids and I got to be there for them. And that's my husband, or that's my wife, or that's my brother, that's my aunt, my uncle, that's my mama, that's my grandmama, that's my daddy, that's my granddaddy. The airplane people could care less what their title is. If something happens on this plane and these masks fall down, you better put your mask on before you try to put anybody else's mask on. Because what's going to happen is, if you don't, now you could pass out trying to help them, and then they don't get what they want. Now both of y'all are in destruction. That's what's happening to a lot of parents and their children. That's what's happening in a lot of marriages. That's what's happening in a lot of family relationships. Because there's somebody like me who you think you strong enough to carry all this dysfunction. The devil is a liar. You were never designed to carry that. And you wonder why you sick. And you wonder why you can't get certain things straight in your life. You wonder why the authentic relationships in your life are falling apart. I can honestly tell you, when I was living from a very people pleasing, codependent state, a lot of people don't realize codependency also involves the person that needs to be needed. See, there are a lot of people that like to be in relationships because they are needy, but it's just like a lock and a key. The person that is needy is going to attract the person that wants to be needed. There's somebody out there that wants to be wanted and wants to be needed, because you really want to be seen. You want to be heard. You want to be appreciated. And you don't think you're worthy of it. So you keep finding your way in people's presence because you helping them, and you such a giver, and you such a giver. But then you get burned out because you always there for everybody. Ain't nobody there for you. You don't even give them a chance to be there for you. Heavy is the ground. We're healing the helper right now. When one of the biggest pivotal, one of the most pivotal moments in my relationship with my mother was one when she went to prison in 2011. Mm-mm. She went to prison in 2010. She came home in 2011. Um, and then when she got out of prison and she came back and she wanted to live with me. And when she got out of prison and she came back home, not long after she got out of prison, Kevin and I, we purchased our first house. And um, so she just knew if I got a house in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a converted garage into a den, so we have enough space for her and others to live there, right? In addition to, it was at the time, it was us and the 3 kids in the house at the time. So She came home, she was trying to get herself, she went in the halfway house, and it was time for her to leave out the halfway house. Um, she just knew that she could live with me because that was the cycle we had kind of been through. Years prior to that, though, she would come and stay with me, but she wouldn't stay for long because it was me, her, and my stepdaddy. And it was just like this very toxic cycle. So when she lived with him, when they got mad, she'd come stay with me, and then me and her couldn't last. Then she'd go back with him. And it was like this back and forth. And I remember when mommy asked me if she could live with me. And I had a feeling she was going to ask me. And up until that point, I had in my head back to codependency. It did not matter because we had survived together. And I think this is what happened. When you survive with somebody and you bond with them on a trauma level, whether it's your parent or not, when you start to heal and get better and they're not, it is tough because you don't realize how comfortable you get with somebody else in a very uncomfortable, toxic situation. So when mommy called me to live with me, she just knew I was going to say yes. She was just asking as a formality. It's funny because she had already started bringing things to my house and leaving it there. And I'm looking like, she's not moving in here. But in my head and my heart, I'm like, I don't want her to live here, but I'm still wrestling with, but this my mom and she ain't got no place else to go. My grandmama dead. She don't talk to her siblings like that because at the time my mom was not, no, she and her siblings were not on a good, in a good space. Not for none of them was letting her come live with them. Right. So, and that was just because of the state of their relationships. And unresolved trauma from them growing up and their parents. So when she asked me if she could live with me and I told her no, she was so upset, as was I. But I covered being upset up with the attitude. And that's how I had to kind of protect myself because my mother, when she didn't get what she wanted, my mom was a bully. So she talked about me, told everybody, people we were close, oh, she got her house now. She can't let me live with her. She married now. I can't live in her new house and all of this. But the truth of the matter was, she was not good. It was not good. It was not going to be a good situation for her to come into that house. She wanted to live with me, but she had other places that she could go. Living with me was more convenient for her, more comfortable for her. And the truth of the matter is, living with me, it was toxic. It was what we were used to. And she knew she could manipulate that situation without feeling bad about it. Because it's my daughter or she got to deal with me anyway. And I told her no. And she could not stay there. And the crazy thing about it is, that was a thing. And even Kevin felt some kind of way about it because he was like, that's your mama. And I was like, no, yes, that's my mama, but my mama got to respect our house. My mama got to respect me and my mama got to respect you. And if she's going to live here, she got to follow our rules and she's not going to follow our rules. So she cannot live here. It did not matter. If she was 52 years old, 53 years old, you're living in my house. These are my rules. And if you got a problem with these rules, you got to go, just like you taught me as a kid. So I shared that story with you. Fast forward, maybe a year and a half, maybe about a year and a half later, my mother-in-law and her husband were in between. They were moving. They were waiting for their home to be completed. So they lived with us for a couple months, like maybe about a month or two, like in between waiting for the house to get ready. But then at that same time, my mom was in a transitional period. This was in 2016, and mommy stayed with us as well. So it was mommy, my mother-in-law, and me, Kevin, and the kids, and all of us were in the house together. Nobody was walking all over each other. It really was harmonious. It was sweet because I'll come home and cook dinner. One day my mama cooked dinner. The next day my mother. The kids enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It was a really nice time, and it happened 3 years after I told mommy she couldn't live with me. So it wasn't that she couldn't live with me at all. Cut her off, but that wasn't the best time. And I had to be able to say not yet before or no right? And be open to God healing us. Now, when mommy came in 2016, we still weren't in the best space, but we were in a much better space than we were at 2012. And then she came back to live with me in 2021 after we were in a terrible car accident where she broke her hip and her collarbone. And so she needed to come and stay with me. And I wanted her to come and stay with me. And at that time, we welcomed her. She wasn't asking me to come, I asked her to come. And even when she came, it's so funny. I talked to my cousin about this about 2 weeks ago. She said, "Girl, when I found out your mama was living with you, I didn't know how that was going to work out. I didn't know how y'all was making it." And she said, "To find out that y'all got along so well, I couldn't believe it. I was so thankful." But see, that's somebody that saw us before y'all started seeing us. That's somebody that knew us before there was a Facebook and an Instagram and a Heart Talk and any of those things. Because I'm not new to this, I'm true to this. You got to set boundaries with the people you love. You have to stop using your children, your loved ones, your family members, your friends, your co-workers, your community members as an excuse to not address your own fears, your own doubts, your own worries, and your own insecurities that need to be addressed and dealt with. Because instead of healing and working on you, you go save somebody else. You go fix somebody else. But you wonder why your relationship with God isn't where it needs to be. You definitely, when you look in the mirror, you don't love who you see. You're not kind to yourself the way you need to be. All of that is because you pour from an empty cup. That creates a deficit. And you feel that deficit in your life and you feel that frustration. What, like, you, guess what? Nobody's coming to save you from that. You have to make the decisions. They're simple decisions, not easy, but you're going to have to decide. I want better. And once you do that, guess what? It's going to get uncomfortable. It's just like when you decide you're going to get in shape and you go to the gym and you haven't been to the gym in a year. You best believe you're going to be in pain. You're going to be in a lot of pain before it starts to feel better. Because now you're getting used to doing something you're not used to doing. So I'm telling you, it's time for the helper to heal. There was a study shown in 2020 that says 60% of professionals struggle with feelings of chronic loneliness and isolation. 60% of professionals struggle with feeling of chronic loneliness and isolation. Now, think about this. Professionals, you spend your day around people, but 60% of them deal with feeling chronic loneliness and isolation. Because when you out here taking care of everybody else, you can't be taken care of. And it feels like isolation. And it is lonely. When you overextend yourself, you isolate yourself. You can't handle it all. And that myth of handling all, it must die in order for you to experience true healing in your life. You want to have a happy, joyful family that gets along with one another, then you got to stop enabling your children and people pleasing. You got to stop stepping in and fixing everything for them and doing everything for them. Because as long as you do that, I heard Dr. Amen is he's a psychiatrist, and he said parents improve their self-esteem at the expense of their children's. So you helicopter help a parent. Everything your child call you for, you got to be there. And if you don't, you feel like you the worst parent. Yeah, they want you to do it, but every time you do it, you tearing down their self-esteem to make you feel bad about yourself. What am I saying in closing? There is no way around this healing process. Really isn't. There is no way to living a fully healthy, fulfilled life without you getting very intentional about taking very good care of your soul. Your soul is what makes you unique from anyone else on this planet. You could have an identical twin. Y'all might have the same DNA, but y'all don't have the same soul. You are not the same individuals. And your heart, your soul, your heart, I'm using that interchangeably. Your heart is struggling right now. And it's time for you to give it some relief. I know you've been tired. I know you've been burnt out. I know you've been like just stressing. And I just want to tell you that's not going to change until you make up in your mind that you're going to do something different and that you're going to make a change. And I really want to encourage you on this process. If you've been wanting to let go of the burdens, you know you've been carrying more than your heart, your mind, or even your body was ever built to carry. But you don't know where to start. You got so much going on, you don't even know where to start. I want to help you with this process. You can DM me, instant message me, wherever you're listening to this podcast, you can message me. And I would love to talk with you about doing heart work. We have some programs that are going to be rolling out this summer that I think would be ideal for you. The individual that's always there for everybody else, but don't know how to be there for you. So much so, you will invest into things that will make you better, but you will not invest into yourself. I want to encourage you to invest into yourself. You will invest in making your life more convenient and buy gadgets, but you won't get a life coach and you won't get a therapist. If you've been considering, how do I start this healing journey? How do I start to take my life back? How does the helper get healed? Connect with me. I want to talk with you. Let's set up a time you can get on my calendar and we can talk about how I can support you in, like I tell my clients in real estate, but I mean this just in growing heart equity to make your next move your best move. You do not have to suffer under the weight of wanting to make sure that everybody else is okay. Trust me, God has been ruling this world and holding the planets in place before time even began to record. And life is going to go on when you're not here. So trust and believe that whatever is going on right now can change. Whatever is happening in your life, it could be restored. But it's time for you to let go of the fear, the guilt. It's time for you to stop thinking emotional burnout is normal. That's not normal. And it's time for you to prioritize you, the most important one in the equation, the diamond in the rough. That's you. And we need you to be well. I lost my mother last year and I watched her. I truly believe it was some stressful situations going on in her life that weighed her down, but I know they didn't take her out. But when I think back to it, it all went back to her wanting to help people and be there for other people. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it is something wrong with that at the expense of yourself when it's not godly. There are a lot of counterfeits out there acting like they're good, acting like they mean you well, and they don't. So I just want to invite you to grow heart equity with me. Check me out, addiebb.com, or pull up my linktree the heart connections. You can buy books there, you can book a session, you can message me there. But I would love for us to stay connected. Because one thing I know for true, that's how we talk in Charleston, the Geechee coming out, y'all. One thing I know for sure is when you heal your heart, you will transform your life. And when you transform your life, you transform the world. Think about it. Let's stay connected. I love y'all. This is Adelai Brown, your heart coach, signing out. See y'all next week.